Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Chris, and that's Brent. We're going to talk to you about SummerSlam 2024.
Hmm.
Cleveland rocks, apparently. Woo!
And
I
he,
want to be a Hulkamaniac. I want to be a Hulkamaniac. Do you remember that song?
I don't remember that song.
Wow, yeah, there was this guy. I can't remember the wrestler's name. Of course, I'm blanking right now, but he worshipped Hulk Hogan, and that was his theme song. I want to
Hilarious.
be a Hulkamaniac.
I did not know that. I
That
didn't
song goes through my head every day. So
like you literally
SummerSlam was
sing it every single day.
it just I wake up and I'm like, I wanna be a Hulkamaniac. It's just in there, man. I don't know. So yeah, that was good though. I really enjoyed it. I like SummerSlam. Let's get right into it, dude. So the first match was Liv. There we
And
go.
Rhea.
Yeah, Liv versus Rhea, and we were discussing. We didn't show the video, but you and I have discussed this. And beforehand, I wanted Rhea to lose, and I wanted her to lose Dom too. So she did the whole flip, and yeah, smartest move made there. I think that was good. What do you think of that?
I mean, yeah, it was. I thought there was some really great stuff there, and you, the thing about that, I read a quote somewhere that SummerSlam was an angle pay per view, not a wrestling pay per view,
Mm.
and I thought
Mm.
if you look at it like that, it's very interesting because while that was happening with like the whole Dom part and him placing the chair, I mean, it is classic '80s wrestling,
It
but
was good.
blatant. There was
Yeah.
no. It was a little too. Not I don't want to say predictable, but it just was like a little too like the chair placed right in there. Like
Yeah.
like there's no way you didn't know that
Well,
was
that was a
coming.
going theme through the night that everything had to be
Yeah,
in a certain spot, or else
totally.
there's four big botches in it as well. But we'll discuss those as we
But
go.
yeah, I thought it was I thought it really sets things up because I think it set up the rest of the night a
It
little
had to
bit when it
happen.
comes
It was the
to
only thing
Judgment
they could
Day.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Setting up for the Judgment Day. Yeah. Well. Yeah. We'll see what happens tonight, right?
Mm.
Or guys,
Tonight
We're showing this on. We'll see what happens on the next SmackDown.
yeah, I thought the match was fine. I thought it was fine. I don't know if I'm totally sold on Liv. I feel like it's a little bit like she did a good job. I mean, what can I say? I've never wrestled, so
Right.
so good on him. There was
Yeah.
just nothing spectacular about the match for me.
Mhm.
I just think it set that angle up. I
The
think
whole
that's what
thing was
that.
set up for the swerve. So my
Yeah.
question is so every match that Rhea has now, does she have to pop her shoulder in or no? Like, is that how it's going to go from here on out? Is that what that's her thing? Oh, her shoulders popped out again. She's gonna have to run into the pole and pop it back in. I thought, see, that was I didn't think that was that would be part of my boo earns part of that, because I really enjoyed the match. I thought it was good. I could see it coming as well, even just by Dom's demeanor when he was walking down the ramp. I was thinking, oh man, something's up here. But again, that was the total right thing to do. That needed to happen so that Rhea can go off now and become a full-on face and just dominate the whole women's
Mm.
division. Maybe have a match coming up with another one that we'll talk about later for a championship. But yeah, I just the whole shoulder thing I thought was pretty lame. What do you think of that shoulder thing?
Okay. Well, if you look at it, the big there was another one that happened later on in the night.
Hmm.
So there was two. There was two. We'll get into that with Fatu on Cody.
Well, this was phony though. This wasn't a real.
Sure. Well, I mean, the other one on Fatu is the
No, that
claim
was
is
real though. That was one of the.
the claim
Oh
is that
no!
it's not that
Oh my
he did
gosh!
the
Okay.
sell. However,
Hmm.
yes, I don't know. I think it to the smart to us we're like, oh yeah, okay, she did the thing, but to the we always forget that what wrestling is like. We think it's for maybe us, the 40
Hmm.
and 40 plus, but there's still the 8-year-old kids there for the
Yeah, that we'll
first
forget.
time that have
Yeah.
never seen a wrestler put a shoulder back in place. So
I'm just a storytelling stickler. So when I see something come
yeah.
in that somebody wrote and got paid a lot of money to put in
Hmm.
a story, I'm kind of like, wait a minute. If you're gonna have like her shoulders are weak spot, that's cool. But so again, this is like the Fatu thing. Like he comes in and he takes all these finishing moves, so he's unstoppable. So this to me is like, okay, well you didn't have to put that in there. You could say her shoulder hurts, but it pops out twice. So that technically to me that means that every time she gets in a match, it's gonna pop
I
out.
don't know, but the other side of where I go with that is that it doesn't. I think it presents this thing that the only way Liv can beat her is with that shoulder like that.
Well, anyone. That's what I'm
You
saying. Like
know,
that's like
yeah.
it's like pop her shoulder up. It's over. That's
I
it.
thought it was when I was watching it with the kids.
Hmm.
Both of them were like, "Wow, did she just put her shoulder back in?"
Right.
So there you go.
No, I get that. Yeah, I guess for the youngers, yeah, no, that's good to hear an actual
Right?
opinion
Because
from a
they're
youngling
like,
too.
whoa! Now they think she's a superhero because she popped her
Yeah.
thing. So we're going to be angry about that stuff, but the young kids look at them as like superheroes. So yes, it has two different things to it. That's
Yeah.
one of it's like, come on, did we need it? The other side of it is clearly because both my kids were like, whoa, she just put her shoulder
Yeah,
back
well,
in.
that's good. It's just a storytelling. You know me. I'm gonna really, but I'm gonna
Yeah,
pick apart what I didn't like. But I did like the fact that Dom screwed up the match because the funny thing he was always screwing things up in the past. There,
yeah.
didn't seem like he meant to. So yeah, so Liv retains the title,
Mm.
and Rhea's gonna have a new. I can't remember if she's on SmackDown or Raw, but we're gonna find out something tonight about that. So I enjoyed that match. I give that match. I'll give that a B. I'll give that match a B or a B minus, one or the other. I'm gonna give it the B minus for the shoulder thing. I got to stick to my guns on that. But anyway, so I'm giving that match a B minus. What are you giving it?
Ooh. I'm gonna go. I think it covered the angle that it was supposed to do. I thought
Yeah, it was more
Rhea
about
did.
exactly more about
I
the
thought
angle,
that
like you
the angle.
mentioned, than
So
the.
I mean, for me, I'll give her B. I'll give it 4 out of 5 machete slashes,
Wow. Okay.
just for the angle,
So
strictly
that's
for
like
the
a
angle. I think,
like a B plus. That's
yeah,
like
because
a
it
B
kind of set
plus.
up the rest of the. It really sets
Right.
up the next 3 months.
So
That's why.
okay, so we're moving on to the next one. But in between each match,
Yeah,
I want to bring up something from the past wrestling that seems kind of redonkulous, but you kind of miss. So here's something that I'll bring, and I'll bring up the first one, and then maybe if you think of
sure.
something for the next one. So don't remember when they used to put somebody in the sleeper hold,
Yeah,
and they'd have to wake them up after?
sure.
Like the wrestler would have
They
to like
hit them in the
slap their
back of the
face,
neck.
or
Yeah,
they
yeah,
hit him in
yeah,
the back of the, and it
yeah,
would be a big deal too. Like, oh come
yeah.
on, now you got to wake him back up. So they put him in the sleeper hold. The guy would
Brutus Beefcake.
pass out, and then it was the wrestler's responsibility who knocked the guy out. Hi
To
Beans.
bring him back.
To wake him back up. Yeah, so he either I saw one I watched last night. He was a Rougeau brother, and he was massaging the guy's neck, and then pop.
Well,
God.
Brutus Beefcake was the classic of that because he would keep the guy sleeping and cut his hair and then wake him up.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's a
Yeah.
classic.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so let's move
yeah,
on. So I think that's hilarious. So let's move on to
yeah.
the next match, which was, and we discussed this a bit, the Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn. We got that one, Monty? There we are. Hey, Beans, knock it off. So there, Sami Zayn. So the Ultimate Hero versus the new. I don't know. That's the thing about him being kind of going off as a heel is I don't see him as a heel at all. So when he acts like a heel, it's just kind of like I don't know. I don't. This was a great match. I enjoyed the match.
Mhm.
I knew what the outcome was going to be. We discussed this too. It's like and plus I think Sami Zayn needs a little bit of a vacation. He's probably going to want a
Absolutely.
bit of a break here. Right? He's been going so hard. Good job, Sami Zayn. A good-hearted Canadian wrestler, doing the face proud, right? Like the guy that's everything's stocked. The odds are stacked against him, and he usually wins, but he's just worn down, and that's it. So Braun Breaker's in there. The only so I love the match. What can you say about the match other than, there
I
really
think
wasn't any huge high points. It just kind of
it's a basic match to put over Braun. This was
Yeah.
not really much different than a Monday Night Raw match, but it was just to give him a big win on a big stage. His dad and his uncle are there. It's just sort of like that title. They talked about it on the pre-show, but how many times it's changed hands and how many people have won their first Intercontinental title. I think I had a feeling about that match, or a feeling when I was watching that match.
Yeah.
So when we were talking about what it was like growing up and how important that title was with the Macho Man and Ricky Steamboat, and then it kind of fell off. And then Cody brought it back for a while. Cody really made it a thing. The Miz made it a really big deal. Then it fell off again. I think that momentum wise, I had the feeling that the Intercontinental title is a SummerSlam title.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like the build to WrestleMania is all about the championship and maybe the tag championships, but SummerSlam to me is the IC title. Bret Hart, Davey Boy Smith, it's always been associated with the Intercontinental title. Kurt Hennig, and Kerry Von Erich, like there was all these really cool kind of things that happened at SummerSlam with the IC title. So that's where I think that it was just a real basic match. Let's just have, go out there, kind of beat each other up a little bit, but Braun's going over pretty strong, and that's the IC title. So for me, it was pretty basic. I'll go with the ranking and just give it a 3 machete slashes out of 5. It kind of cut the middle there. It wasn't extraordinary. It did its job.
I'm giving it the same. It's like there was no botches in it. I believe though. I believe we were pretty good there. The first two, I don't think the first two had any major botches. We were good there. But yeah, I thought it's again. I give this one a B. I liked it, and I could tell my cat's screaming at the door there. I don't know if anybody can hear that. Um, but Sami Zayn's the storyline was good. Sami Zayn is just beaten down, and this was it. The thing I found with Braun Breaker is they're bringing him in kind of like Goldberg a bit without the unbeaten streak, where he wants to win. He just comes in, he takes care of people. As I mentioned off air with Brent before, is I don't like the way he was cheap shotting Sami Zayn, because he didn't need to do that. Like, especially waiting. I can see him at the very beginning, or like if Sami's out doing an interview and he comes in behind and gets him right, but the whole thing about Braun Breaker waiting until Sami Zayn's like down at his weak point and then come in and smacking him. I don't know. It didn't seem to go with his character to me. I just thought that they would have did a much better job if they would have had him being like a more of a stand up dude. But so where they get he's a new. I saw that coming again. We agreed that he was going to be the new champion. Yeah, I give it I give it a B, because I thought it was just pretty straightforward through the whole thing. Nothing bad to say. No real high points. But where are they going to take Braun Breaker now is what I'm thinking. Usually nowadays it always seems that they have to be affiliated with other groups or other people or something. Where I think Braun Breaker, hopefully they more just go the route of the Goldberg, the solo route, and he just wants to plow his way through. But I would like to see him just be a little more noble. I like the cheap shots, the old style cheap shots. Like, I don't think he needs the desperation, especially now that he's a champion. They'll probably switch that around, because now people will be coming after him. I don't think he'll be cheap shotting anybody unless he's trying to boost up a belt.
It's a tough one, because what's the plan, right, with him? Because
Yeah,
I think that he's come in and taken LA Knight's spot. I think LA Knight should have been
LA Knight, he's okay, right?
I mean, the U.S. champ thing is fine, but I've never really cared about the U.S. title, because it was, for me, it was like, it was always the Intercontinental sort of like wannabe, because you had NWA had like
the European one must have been the one.
Yeah, so I was like
most like
for me the IC title is always second behind him, even
so you
whatever.
Have to name something from old wrestling that you missed before we
Sorry, you're asking me about Braun. Sorry. So I think the problem is with Braun is that he really can't lose now for a long time.
Right.
So they got to be very careful about who they put him up against, because I have thoughts about where like Owens and Orton are going. So it's going to be really interesting to see where he goes. I think he needs a big guy. So
and who will be coming after that belt? Like, who's in that range that would be, who's in the range that would want the Intercontinental title?
I think you're going to see what's his name, the Japanese guy with the Japanese guy with the Shinsuke Nakamura. I could see somebody like him kind of jumping into the mix. I can also
they kind of use him in there, huh? Like,
I can also see they haven't done anything with that big guy, Braun Strowman. They haven't done anything with him.
Braun Strowman.
The big bearded beast guy. Right. They both have have that outside the ring running thing.
Yeah, would Braun Strowman want the Intercontinental title? That's what I'm wondering. Like, is that in his spear?
Well, they can. It's so easy to set that up, because they both do the outside run around thing, and so that could be like the Beast versus this, and he needs a really big guy that he needs to go over on, and it won't be Brock. So
do you think they're going to keep the whole cheap shots kind of thing with him, or do you think it's going to change now that people are
depends who they line him up with?
Well, you think they'll line him up with somebody? You don't think?
Well, it depends on what the heel versus face quotient in on whatever show he's on. Right. Because if they're like, hey, we need a major heel here, you got to be the heel. You got to cheap shot it for a while. Because they have the whiny guy, the other Olympic kid, Gable. They have Gable as like the whiny cheap shot Olympic singlet wearing kind of guy, and those two together would be a great match, but they're both heels right now, so it really is going to depend on how they line this guy up.
I'm predicting that they're going to switch Braun to a bit more of a face role, especially because the crowd's behind him. It would make sense, you know what I mean? And somebody's going to come after him, and it's going to be somebody, I don't know, we'll have to talk about this again and see who. But I think they're going to send, this is just my opinion, I think that they're going to send somebody after him, and I think Braun's going to go the solo route. Like, I don't need anyone. If he would hook up with anybody, it'd probably be that Dragunov guy that he was fighting back and forth and he put out.
He doesn't need anybody.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think he's going to go the solo route, and I think somebody's going to come after him. Who's it going to be? Oh man, I don't know. Braun's
he needs a big guy, because he can't. Because I don't think anyone at this point believes that. Like, maybe Owens comes in to avenge Sammy losing or something. Because I have a feel. I think I know where they're going.
That might be it.
I think I know where they're going with Randy. So the Randy Owens thing. I think I know where they're going with Randy. So Owens Owens against him. Maybe that could be a cool thing, or some fresh guys. I don't know. They're really bringing up Carmelo Hayes. Like there's just some guys that they need to start getting over. They got to get some of these younger guys over. So
I get it.
what do I
All right.
miss from
So, yeah, what do you miss from
wrestling?
classic wrestling before we
From
get
classic
Sami Zayn?
wrestling,
Or not Sami Zayn.
I I miss how big everything was. Like if someone took like when Randy Savage did the
How
bell,
big a finishing move was, right?
well, how big a finishing move, but when
Yeah.
he dropped the bell on Ricky Steamboat's throat.
Oh, right.
Right.
Okay, so yeah.
So what? Or when Jake Roberts went to Randy and had him bit by a snake.
Right.
So what I miss is like the shocking thing. AEW tries a few little things, but there's no real emotion to it. Like, so I miss that the emotional kind of like, I can't believe he just grabbed a cobra and it bit Randy Savage. I haven't seen that in a while, and and it can't be like showing up at somebody's house and just breaking in anymore. That doesn't work for me now. They try to pull emotion. Well, we'll get into the Punk thing with just this little wristband, this little bracelet, but like the shocking sort of like injury or debauchery
definitely.
part.
Like, because they've taken it so far now that just a shot with the bell is just like part of a hardcore match.
Totally. So we've lost.
No, I get what you're saying. So it's the little things that they were just starting. Excuse me. When they were just starting to put things a little out of the schemes, like, oh my God, wow, is this wrestling anymore? What's going on? This is so cool. I can't believe you did that to him. Okay, I get it. Okay, next match is got your buddy there, LA Knight versus Logan Paul. And so we were discussing this before, and we both agreed that it was LA Knight's time. And Logan Paul, he seems like he's just a part-timer anyway. He only defended the title twice. You can't do that unless you're Roman Reigns, right? So we had this one going on. What did you think of this match?
I mean, I think Logan's done an amazing job being a part-timer. I think like athletic-wise, he's going to be that guy that you just hate. There's no possible way I can see him being a face. He's just too easy to hate.
Oh, yeah.
Knight's really funny for me because I mean, I like him. I think it's his time. It feels like it's like, what a build to having him win. So maybe he'll elevate this thing. This US title, but the match itself was fine. It was kind of an old school wrestling match.
Couple high points, huh? You know, the fly off the rope outside of the ring by Jake Paul was pretty big, and then they did the big one onto the table. The table didn't break.
No, that was
supposed to or not, but there was so just botches, get it out of the way. There was a botch on this one though, right?
I think so. I don't know
noticed it right. I noticed this one when it happened. So we'll talk about the botch when we get to the end of the match. But here's a thought. What about Logan Paul versus it's the Steiner kid there?
But I think I don't.
No, I know.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind. Yeah, I think it'd be great. I mean, that would be a killer match.
Two different styles. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm not interjecting this one. I had.
I think that would be totally killer.
Sidebar.
Yeah.
So this match here, though. Sorry, I didn't want to get us too far off of this.
Yeah, I think the one thing that this match missed for me, and I understand because they brought Jelly Roll in later to choke.
Dude, I forgot about that.
But they brought him in to choke slam the other guy. One of the things that I thought they missed out on here for the excitement side of it, and maybe this is overbooking, but they brought Machine Gun Kelly down, and everyone hates. You know, he's from Cleveland, but he's a heel, and you had Jelly Roll there, and the two of them have kind of teamed up on a song, so this might be why they didn't do it. But I thought it would have been really hilarious if MJK, like Machine Gun Kelly, was trying to help Logan. Obviously he did, and it backfired. But then maybe MJK gets into the ring, they try something on him, but then Jelly Roll comes in and takes him out with a splash, and then
that would have been way cooler.
That anarchy would have built this euphoria up with the crowd. Would have been better. You know what I mean?
And I thought, how many times did they play that song of Jelly Rolls, like in between everything? Oh my gosh, dude! Whoa!
It just was like that. That's to me what they missed out on. I understand why they did it later with the other guys to get him on the show, but I thought that moment could have been really cool because now no
offense to Jelly Roll fans, that's cool if you like him and everything, but just the song, when you play the same song of anyone over and over and over again, and it's not your genre of music, especially, holy cow, dude! And then I hate it when they manhandle these wrestlers. When the wrestlers hear of these storylines beforehand, I wonder if it's like the Roddy Piper in the day where they're just like, seriously, he's got to do what to me? Like some of the matches I've seen have been really good where celebrities come in, but when he just kind of enters the ring and for the first time choke slams somebody because he's a big that I wonder what the wrestlers really think of that, because I would think they're thinking, I've done this all my life. This guy is just trying to,
It
I would
depends.
think
It
that's
depends on
tough.
it, man. It depends on it because I
That's
think
got to be
that you
tough.
can't. Getting back to that point, if Jelly Rolls choke slams MJK or splashes him King Kong
Hmm.
Bundy style, that's
That would
the
have been cool.
headline on Variety, and that's the headline on Billboard, and that's the
Hmm.
headline on the internet, which means 50 million more eyes
Yeah.
on the product. So
Yeah.
I would imagine the wrestlers are like, bring it on, because the more people that are watching me, that's fine. I think Punk touched on it years ago where he was like, I'm
Hmm.
here, you're just in Hollywood. So I do think it's a tough balance, but it's been happening since WrestleMania 1. So what do you
Yeah.
do?
So I forgot. So that was the match with all the extra hoopla in the background, stuff like that. So LA Knight ends up winning. That's another thing I found kind of odd. Now here's one thing before I hit the botch. He took the full brunt of those knuckles in the head, right? I thought maybe Machine Gun Kelly was going to pull a fast one and give him like Nerf knuckles or rubber knuckles or something that didn't work. But that was kind of odd too, I found, because he clocked him with the knuckles, and immediately you're like, okay, he's out. This is what Logan Paul has done to everyone, and they're knocked out. He gets up, and puts finishing and finishes like,
Maybe they'll tell that story in a
yeah,
little bit.
tonight
Like
there
maybe it's like,
might,
oh, he actually missed him, or something.
or maybe they were fake, and I don't know, but like that was weird. Now here's so he pins Logan Paul. Logan Paul's foot's under the rope, dude, like way under the rope.
Lots of stuff to tell.
Well, there's a botch. It's a botch. It happens. It's a botch. I'm just saying there were some great things going on in there, but that was a botch for sure. We were actually wondering if tonight if they'll back it up by saying, oh well, we got to do the match over again or something will happen. But so I gave that one a C. It was okay. I don't personally I'm not a big fan of some of the celebrity appearances unless they do it correctly, and I didn't think that one was just not up my alley with my kind of enjoyment, my
Mhm.
friend. You know.
Yeah, I think they missed on it, but I think that again, it did kind of what again, it's like an angle thing. I think it just did. It was a basic kind of cool match, a few high spots. It was like kind of like a Shane McMahon kind of match a little bit, but I think Logan is definitely the fact that he came in. I think I'm going to go three machete slashes out of 5. Still, I'll give it a
Okay.
solid B, just
Yeah,
because.
I don't. Again, it's just I'm not a fan of Jelly Roll or
Mhm.
Machine Gun Kelly. Really, I like the one album his. I gotta self admit that. But yeah, that's all. Anyway, so that was that. That was good. We gave that. So in between, we're gonna pick now something. It was my turn to pick something
Your
that I
turn,
missed
yeah.
from old time wrestling, right? Oh, I miss all the blood. Like, because you don't see that, like
Ah.
like you do see it in the AEW. So if I was going to talk about WWE wrestling, you know what I mean, like the main thing that's kind of funny about that I missed. But the blood, holy cow, man, there'd be a lot of blood. Some of
How
those
much
matches
how
were
much
just
more iconic
ridiculous.
would have LA Knight's title holding his title over his head
Yeah,
would have been if
yeah,
after he got hit with the Nux, he actually cut himself,
yeah.
and he was
And
covered
there's
in blood, and then
the
he
thing
and
is
then
nowadays too, like the only thing that's real, genuine, well, it's real, but the only thing that they know, and I've seen is those hand slaps are
yeah
apparently an inside thing where it's like, no, you got to take the hand slaps, man, and you can see. So
yeah.
even excuse me, to show an example, Gunther was bleeding from a chest
Mhm.
slap from a scab he had, and they're, oh my god, he's bleeding. And
Yeah,
now they make such a big deal about it, right?
yeah,
When
yeah.
back in the day, like especially like Ric Flair matches, just Crimson Mask, and Shawn Michaels carried on that, of course. Stone Cold, man, The Rock, they just had some great matches with the
Well, I mean,
blood and stuff
Moxley's
like that.
doing it AEW now. He
Well, that's what I
bleeds
meant.
every
Yes,
match, but
it's
but
a
uh
little,
but you can see like but the other side of it is like if they because it's not frequent in WWE. I thought if and that was my thought. I'm glad you brought it up. I
Mhm.
thought if LA Knight got some color on that, and
That would
actually
have been
came up and
cool,
it's like,
huh?
oh my god, he's got a, because look at what we talked about it before. Look what it did for Becky Lynch
That
when
was
she held
amazing,
that
yeah.
title up with the broken nose. That made
Hmm.
her at that moment, and I just think
Yeah.
that would have been the final thing for LA Knight,
God.
where he's covered in blood, holding up the title because he got cracked in the head. I think that would have been
Riggedy
great.
riggedy wrecked. I know. Yeah. Okay. So what do we got next? Who's next on the docket here? What do we got? Oh yeah, okay. So I was looking forward to this too. Nia Jax versus Bailey, your favorite female wrestler. It's your least favorite. So Bailey is one of your least favorite wrestlers, isn't she? Like
I
in the female side of things. I remember we did a list, and she was
Yeah,
your
I
bad
wasn't
list.
like I mean I think yeah I don't but Naya kind of is too. I wasn't interested in this at all. So
Really? Okay. So again, coming into this, I called that. I thought Bailey was going to retain in this actually. So Nia Jax won this one, and here's the thing: is that I'm having a hard time really remembering what happened in this match, so I don't think I was into it too much. Um, the bum moves these ladies use it.
Well, that's a tribute to Yokozuna.
No, I get it. But, okay,
But
even back then, I remember
yeah,
grimacing at that. But it just kind of gets me every time these ladies do their bum moves, and it's just like, wow, that's is that acceptable? I don't know. It's just a little. I find those moves a little indecisive on whether they should be in there or not. But they're humorous, definitely humorous.
I just thought this was relatively predictable.
Yeah,
And then even the Tiffany Stratton coming down to try to cash in, I was like, eh. I mean,
I thought she was gonna actually.
that's
That's
all
what I thought. Sorry.
that's all set up kind of nicely. I think it
Yeah.
sets up like a Nia Tiffany kind of thing. But
Right.
I wasn't really feeling it. I think there's a real void on the women's division right now.
Oh,
I
really? I'm
just
enjoying it. I'm liking it.
I mean,
I like.
yeah.
I like. Well, I'm missing Becky, but man, there were some really good matches going on there. And
There's
some of them.
the emotion of it because Charlotte's not
Mhm.
here, Becky's not
Well,
here.
see, that's where we're missing that. Okay, so maybe you're right. Yeah, at this stage, I'm kind of just dwelling on kind of the old because I was really enjoying some of that stuff. Who else is missing? Because, uh, excuse me, I'm trying to think of who else is missing. Anyway, there's the female wrestlers. Maybe a little bit of a lack there
Yeah,
because some of them are injured. Naomi's back, and she is really injured, but I find that she doesn't really push the envelope. Selena Vega might be headed up for something. Like if they do something cool with her, because she's got the history too, right? Her
hmm
dad was the old pimp daddy there, right?
I just don't.
Savio Vega
Yeah, I
wasn't
don't
that her
think.
dad?
No, I don't think so. But
No.
she's actually she got over pretty huge when they did the Puerto Rican thing
I get
last,
that.
and she was over there with Bad Bunny, and they had a
Yeah.
whole thing, and that was like kind of a big moment. But
Well,
I just felt
Tiffany's.
like this was like, eh.
Yeah, Tiffany. As far as just one last thing on the ladies division, Tiffany. I find Tiffany's really good, and I think if Charlotte Flair was around, that would be a really good match, the two of them against each other. But her off the top rope reverse splash dealie is flawless. Like some of her moves, you can see in the way she's building her muscle tone up. She's gonna be big too. I think. Like you know what I mean. She's gonna be a muscular girl. Um, yeah. So anyway, so this was yeah, this match you gave what?
Like a two and a half, like a two slasher
Mm-hmm.
machete slashes out of
Yeah.
five, and that has nothing to knock on the women. I just
No, there
there
was.
was nothing really about it that was like, eh, I don't, just nothing there.
I'm gonna give it
So
a C as well because I didn't remember it. I totally
mm.
forgot about it. Okay, so we're in between matches here, and what do you got from the olden days
Okay,
that you missed, or just
the
something that was odd from the old matches, whatever you want.
no, I mean, I think the jobber enhancement talent thing
Oh,
is a real
good one,
problem
dude. That's a
because
great
they
one.
did it for they were doing it on Monday Night Raw a little bit a
Oh,
couple
I
of
like
years
that
ago,
one.
where they
Yeah,
were getting guys like Braun or them, and they would put them up against
the
five
NXT
like
guys, they'd bring them up or do
or
something,
whatever,
right?
even but just
Yeah,
like Larry Thomas, he's a shop welder from Lincoln,
yeah.
Nebraska, is in the ring trying to beat the Undertaker. Like it's just
Barry Horowitz.
yeah,
Well, let's name some of them. Barry Horowitz was
Barry
great.
O,
Oh, Barry O was awesome.
Barry Horowitz,
Oh man, who else was?
Steve
Yeah,
Lombardi.
Steve Lombardi, and was Iron Mike the one that was
Iron Mike
he would always
Sharp,
growl.
Iron Mike Sharp, Jim Powers, and Paul Roma, who
Oh man,
they tried very hard to make
yes,
main events. There's such a joke about Paul Roma joining the Four Horsemen in WCW,
yeah.
and they're like,
Oh
what were you not the jobber over at WWE? Like
yeah.
so.
What happened there? That's funny.
So yeah, those were some guys that were
Jobbers. Oh, that's cool. That's a good one, man. I like that
um,
one. I
but
like that
they're
one a
called
lot.
enhancement talent, as
Yes,
how Bully Ray from Busted Open would like us to
helping
refer
somebody
to
get
them.
over, right? I'm there
Enhancement
to help
talent.
the other. Yeah,
So
enhancement talent.
enhancement talent, I think, is missing, and the problem is with
That's a
programming and
good
so
one.
many wrestlers that,
Hmm.
unfortunately, to me, the enhancement talent is now landing on these mid carders, and it's damaging them.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
even
I
Braun
agree.
Strowman became like enhancement talent.
Well,
He's
how
out
about
there,
Natalia? Natalia was
yeah, yeah.
just like, oh
So it's like
man,
enhancement
you knew she was
talent
gonna lose.
is a tough one, and that's one
Yeah.
that they're missing. And I'd love to see that again.
Okay, cool. That's good. What match do we got next, Lonnie? Okay, this is the one we were both really stoked on. I think everybody was really stoked on this one, man. CM Punk. Oh man, yeah. Are you a CM Punk fan?
I split. I kind of go. I go like this with him because
Right.
um, I think that he's an attraction, and that's something
Hmm.
that you don't
Do you
really
think he's a
have.
good wrestler?
I do.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do because he's such
Yeah.
a Bret Hart fan and he's such a old school kind of fan of like that. The problem is he's been injured so much.
Oh, it's just because his body's taking a
It's
beating.
tough to
He's
see.
40, right?
Um, I think, yeah, I am. I was definitely excited when he came back. But and I think he works well in this thing.
Hmm.
But yeah, I am a fan, but
Yeah. Drew
he's not.
McIntyre is so that was they heated this one up well because CM Punk was injured, so they had lots of time to get this
Yep.
boiling and boiling. They brought in Seth there as the ref, which I was originally thinking, geez, wow, what a lame position to be in and whatever. But he turned that, man. He did
It was great.
that's the best wrestler referee appearance I think I've seen that I can remember of. And I loved my favorite line though was when CM Punk said this. He said to Seth Rollins, said, "I see, get out of here with your Sabu pants," like the old wrestler Sabu. He's one of my favorites, right? Just
Yeah.
oh, dude. So that CM Punk to me is really rad that way too. I wish his body was a little stronger so we could pull off some of the stuff that he used to do. If you want to see some rad CM Punk stuff, you just go back to the old TNA because oh my gosh, dude,
I
he was
think there's
great
lots
in there,
coming with him,
dude.
though. I mean,
Holy
by all
smokes,
accounts, everyone is saying
yeah. Well,
he's
hopefully
a
he can do it,
way
right?
different
Hopefully he
dude
can
and
do it.
stuff.
Drew McIntyre, on the other hand, what a beast! Oh my God, like that guy's in his prime, and he's just killing it. And the
Hmm.
portrayer of him, just again being that dude who's just screw it, I'll do it all on my own. He's got one of his old friends backstabbing him from the Brawl. Oh no, is that the other storyline with the red dude, red
From
hair dude?
Sheamus, yeah,
Sorry, that's Sheamus. Yes, yeah. So yeah, no, that's not. Anyway, that's that. But
yeah.
CM Punk, I think the whole thing again with that little charm bracelet in there was one of those things that was like it was so stupid that it was awesome. You're gonna freak out over that charm bracelet? Yeah, it's CM Punk, man. He does, that means a lot to him. That's CM Punk. That was really cool. I thought that was great. I thought that was a really good angle to have because I was wondering how are they gonna define this? Like, what's gonna be the defining moment before the pinfall here? Because something was gonna happen,
Hmm.
and now we're shaping up to see Seth Rollins. He really, really, and then he put on the
Yeah, yeah.
CM Punk's charm bracelet that Drew had stole from him. It has his wife's
Which
name and his
cost him the
dog name
match,
on it,
really.
right?
Yeah.
And it cost him the match, that little charm bracelet. So it's like, oh, that shouldn't have happened. No, CM Punk, man, that's what's important to him.
I
So
think you're going to
I
see a three-way with them now.
yeah, I agree. I agree. That might even happen tonight. We'll see. I can't remember who's on what, but so but I really enjoyed this match. Again, you got some pretty pro dudes in there. You know what I mean? These guys know what they're doing.
Hmm.
They're I say Drew McIntyre, man. He should be getting a really big push right now because he can do some great matches. He can take some real big bumps.
Yeah,
He's
COVID
a big,
COVID
strong
derailed
dude.
him, man. The COVID
Yeah,
derailed him because him kicking Lesnar out of the ring at the Royal Rumble was like the biggest moment
it
in his
was. Yeah.
career, and it
So
would have been
hopefully,
this gargantuan moment for him. But
well, he just beat CM Punk, so
yeah,
that's really big. We'll get him moving on down the line. So I
I
loved this match. I thought this was a great match. I thought all three players played it well. As I mentioned going in, I was a little apprehensive with Seth Rollins being the guest referee because usually when a wrestler's a referee, it's just kind of lame. But Seth made it work, and I give this match an A minus.
okay. I'll go. I'll join you there. I'm gonna go with 4 slashes out of 5 on it. I think it moved. I think it moved all the story. The other thing too that's important with these things is if how do you move everything forward?
Mm-hmm.
So now we're faced with 5 questions today. What's next? Who are they facing
I
next?
think you hit it.
What's
It's got to be a
so?
three. It's got to be a three-way to figure out
Hmm.
which one of these three rises above
Hmm.
that, and he'll move on to maybe fight Gunther or something, right? We'll
Yep.
see what happens there. But yeah, that was it was a great match. I liked it. Okay, so in between, something that I miss from the old school wrestling from WWE, WWF is what it was at the time, is I miss how hardcore they kept their characters in check. I thought
Oh,
that
so
was
kayfabe.
friggin' hilarious.
Yeah.
I thought the way they religiously followed kayfabe and
Yeah.
some of the stories you hear about just some other wrestling companies. This was everybody, every wrestling company did this. some of the bookers or agents running the territories would say, if you're in a bar and you lose that fight in the bar, don't bother coming back because you're not working for me anymore. Stuff
Hmm.
like that. And just, if they're in a restaurant and they didn't speak English, they'd have to like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah," and point to the food and say that. Like Abdullah Butcher used to do that all the time. And if a guy was fighting each other, they would never be seen together.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that famous incident back in the day where it was the Iron Sheik and Hacksaw Jim Duggan about to fight each other, and they got caught with weed before the match, and everybody was freaking out about it. And that was funny because I remember being younger thinking, okay, like, darn, she couldn't smoke weed, right? Because his character was so strong as a youngling. You were like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, wow. But you had new respect for Hacksaw Jim Duggan. But that basically ruined them for what they were doing.
There's some protect. I think there's two ways that the industry had to go, which was like acknowledging the fact that it was scripted.
Oh, they had to. I just
You know
miss
what I
it.
mean? And all
Sidebar
that.
kiss. Sidebar kiss. Right? Like they
Yeah,
would never show their faces.
yeah,
And it was this big mystery about what they actually look like. So so it added a little bit of mystery that you can't have anymore these days. Dude, everything's, you can't
yeah.
have that anymore. But I do miss it. I do miss the whole thinking that, wow, they're really, maybe this is real. You know
Some
what I mean? Like,
guys can. Some guys can. Like Jericho still does the thing. If he's a heel, he won't. He doesn't want any merch, and he won't do any autographs.
wow, neat. Yeah,
So he
cool.
still does that.
MJF is MJF, right?
And
He's the
MJF is the same.
best.
He
Oh, he's
won't.
the
Or
best.
if
He's
he's
like,
a heel and he does the signature stuff, he insults you while you're doing it.
yeah,
You
yeah,
piece of, look
that's
at how
great.
fat you are. Here's your autograph. Like,
Yeah. God, I really got to do this. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. So
yeah.
what's the next match here? So yeah, I missed the kayfabe. What's the next match, Lonnie? What do we got? Okay. So we were both looking forward to this as well. Again, this was, like you said, this was an angle match. We didn't know it was, but it was Damian Priest versus Gunther. And I'm a big fan of both of these dudes, man. In my opinion, these are two of your best wrestlers you have in the male side of things in the WWE today. Gunther's just, he's your old school, slightly foreign guy who's coming in and just, I am the best. I am the best.
Hmm.
He doesn't make it about his country, but you can tell he's not from California or something, you know what I mean? And he just dominates. He's just a flawless wrestler. His character is spot on. The ring general. He loves those hand shots in the chest. I've seen him take some really fierce bumps, man. Gotta respect that. And then you've got Damian Priest, who again I mentioned before is one of my favorite wrestlers. Look at him right there. It looks like a friggin' like a villain in a
Yeah.
comic book. Looks so rad. I love his character. You can see, so he got the treatment as well. He's being turned face just like his counterpart Rhea, and he was trying to look out for her uh, prior to this too. And there's Finn Balor doing the evil eye. That was pretty cool. He's one of the best in the business in my opinion right now in the
Hmm.
WWE. He's great. He again not as good as he used to be. He can't take his body's taking some beats and abuse, but man, look at that look. Isn't that great? That's cool. So Finn
Yeah.
turns on. I'm sorry. So Finn turns
Yeah.
on Damian Priest, and I think we're all suspecting this because of his side glances after. But he's really good at being the guy that's not letting you know what's going on in his head as a character. Like, oh yeah, no, everything's cool. But then it's the dramatic dun 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 look in his eyes after you see in a soap opera or something. And they played that perfectly because this is like a men's soap opera, and this is just like a classic, stabbing your best friend in the back kind of thing. He lost the title though, so we got a lot of storylines coming up. Again, I think they're flipping Damien to be a face here. Gunther's always going to be a heel or just a respected wrestler. He won the
Hmm.
event. He is the new what's that, SmackDown
Champion.
champion
No,
or
he's
world?
the world heavyweight champion.
So the world heavyweight champion. The other one's Universal. So he's our new champion. Damian Priest didn't get to hold the title very long, but I have a feeling he's got some really cool stuff in the future going for him. What do you say?
I thought it did exactly what it was. Gunther's has slowly. I mean, he elevated the Intercontinental title, so there's
Hmm.
no doubt that he's not going to do this. It's so. There's so many people. Like, so you asked earlier about what's next. I really don't know. It's really about who they're trying to elevate, but also protecting Gunther. So the match
Yeah.
itself was exactly what I thought. The one thing that I thought was interesting is I noticed the last time when Priest won, and I was like, they need to. I think they just need to keep giving him wins, and
Mm.
then people are going to be like, "Whoa, this guy just somehow wins." And I think
Hmm.
um, the screw over is fine, but
Hmm.
potentially you could have still had him screw him over, but then Priest kicks out, finds a way to beat Gunther somehow. and then you still build this priest thing up. So it was a weird one for me because I
Yeah,
didn't have
that's
a
what I'm saying,
problem
that
with.
they got to have something in mind
Yeah,
for
absolutely. So
you know,
I
for
thought it was
something.
fine. I thought it was like 4.5 out of 5 for me as far as like
Mhm.
those guys working hard and again moving the
And
storylines ahead.
it was a good we come to fruition here, right, to a good
Yeah,
crescendo of this storyline, the starting with the Rhea and then this one here.
and
Yeah,
I'd like
I
to
gave
point
it
out
an
for the record here that this
hmm
slow burn.
hmm
Let's acknowledge our pal Edge here because he handpicked these guys to all be in
right.
the
Yeah, he was the first
Judgment
one in
Day,
there, right?
and he
Yeah,
handpicked
yeah.
them all like
Then they
a
turned on him.
physical like this, and then they turned on him. But
Hmm
he leaves, but like that slow burn of the Judgment Day, it's just as slow burn as the Bloodline.
Mm, right.
You have that slow burn, split, split, split. It all splits at SummerSlam, and
hmm
that's like a 2 year, 3 year build and split.
Yeah.
So
So we got to
kudos to
see
the
what
long
happens with
story.
Carlito and what happens with Dominic, if he's going to start his
Yeah,
new group,
Dom.
if he's going to stay with
I
them. So
can't
we'll
wait
see.
for Dom. I can't
Yeah,
wait for the
Dom's.
Dom
We
thing.
discussed. We were talking about him being like probably he's the best heel in WWE right now. And the thing that I respect about his heeldom is that he doesn't try to be a heel, Brent.
No,
He's not even trying. He's just he's probably wearing the haircut a certain way and the mustache and whatever. But dude, he's not even trying to be a heel. He's just being himself.
which means he's going to be the biggest babyface in the company.
Well, yeah, if you
When
can
you're
do that, you can
hated
do the
that
other, right?
badly, and then it
Well,
eventually switches over, you become the
and he'll save
biggest.
his dad.
You
It'll be
know,
him saving his dad, and it'll be a
totally.
heartwarming moment. We called
And
it.
then he
You heard it
moves
here,
on
folks,
to,
first.
yeah. I think that Dom is like,
It's coming. So this is
it's
good. So we'll see what happens on
yeah,
SmackDown or what did happen
yeah,
because we're going to show this on Tuesday.
yeah.
Righteous. So that was good. So I gave that an A minus. I didn't see anything wrong with that match either.
Cool.
All right. Now what do you? So I brought up the last thing that we missed, or did you bring up the last thing that we missed?
You did. I'm
I
gonna
did.
go
Yes, I
back
did.
to. I'm gonna go back to how. I'm gonna go back to tag team wrestling. I'm gonna go back to how without tag team wrestling in the
Mm.
'80s, we wouldn't have half the stars that we did.
Oh, I miss
So
solid tag teams.
totally. So you had the Hart Foundation. I
Yeah.
mean, Jim didn't become big, but Brent did. You put Tito Santana and Rick Martel together to help get out of like
Yeah.
there was so many tag teams, and they've been trying in all the companies to do this with like FTR and
hmm
Gargano and what's his nuts
Yeah.
and all these guys. They've been trying, and I just don't know how they're gonna get there, but I think the business is desperately missing
Yeah.
really
Real
great
tag teams. I get
in
you.
no like you're so involved with tag teams. FTR are great, old school, but
hmm
having that fan engagement,
hmm
um, AEW does it a little bit better than the
Oh yeah.
WWE because I think that
Yeah.
the fans were like, we're getting behind tag
Yeah.
team wrestling, whereas the WWE kind of ignored it for so long
hmm
that I just think that we're missing those great like how badly Hart Foundation versus the Bulldogs in a best 2 out of 3 on Saturday night's main event. I mean, come
Mm.
on,
Yeah.
like you know, there's that goddamn megaphone. It doesn't
hmm
happen
No.
anymore.
But
And
hopefully we'll get more of that. Okay, so we're at our final match now, I think, aren't we? What was the
yeah,
headliner? Okay,
yeah,
so we got Solo Sikoa versus our man Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes. Now this was another one that we discussed, and we basically laid out everything that was going to happen. First of all, the cousins or whatever were going to come in, and then
mm-hmm.
what's his name?
Fatu. You've got
Yeah,
Roman.
I
And
don't. I can't even remember their names. So the cousins and the relatives come in now. Now I'm just going to sidebar here is that this match here, the actual wrestling when the cousins came in is where it was really kind of just fell apart. And this is what happens when you take people who haven't earned their spot at the top and don't understand what it's like to be in a headlining match in something like this, and you bring them in because there was one botch in this one where the guy threw him into the rope and he had to back himself into it. It looked so horrible. One of the cousins, I don't think it was the guy with the eye patch. Maybe it was the other one.
mm-hmm.
And then we're up to the conspiracy theory of whether Fatu actually hurt himself or not. But I'm just saying, like, it just like that. It when you take wrestlers like this, who yes they have wrestled, but do they go from wrestling in a minor league to the headlining interlopers on an event like this? No. And this showed to me when they came in, it was all planned out. So the relatives come in, and then we had Kevin Owens came in,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had Randy Orton
Randy.
came in, and then we had the big da 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 da, and Roman Reigns came in. So we all knew this was happening, didn't we? I think we discussed this and predicted
Mm-hmm.
all of this happening.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Yeah, I'm not sold with Solo Sikoa either. And then watching the match with Solo, I'm waiting. Okay, man, here's your opportunity, Solo. Here is your chance against Cody Rhodes to have this sensational match. Like, just okay, blow me away. Nope. Again, but it was a vehicle
Hmm.
to bring Roman Reigns back. That
Totally.
again, that's when this
There's
was over. That's
so
all
much.
this was.
There's so much because
All it was.
if what this saying is true, like they have so far to get to Roman and Rock.
Right.
So they have Rock has to
But
come in and
why
kind
does it
of
have to be The
it's
Rock? It
just going to
doesn't.
be the
That's the
way it is.
thing. Well, because he's
It's
running the company, and that's why some of these wrestlers are coming in who have no experience are being thrown to the top, and we're seeing these lame storylines with Solo.
but I
So
think
to
that the
me,
feeling
I'm
is though
bummed
that
about it. Like
the
it's not.
feeling is I think though that the Roman beating the Rock officially makes Roman number one.
Head of the household, I guess. But
So that's
my
kind of like
question is,
where
do
it's at.
I don't know. Does anybody really care? I guess they do. You know what I mean? I don't know. To
I
me,
think
I
they
don't
do.
care. This was my least. That's what Melania were watching it. My wife and we're like, oh wow, this is my least. Other than the Bailey one, was my least super
So
excited match for.
to that point then,
Mm-hmm.
who's at fault for your lack of enthusiasm for this match? Is it Cody's fault? Is it
No, it's
is
not
it
Cody's fault at
is
all.
it
No,
the
I mentioned
writer's fault? Is
it's
it
the writers, and it's the acting and suave and charisma of all the guys in the bloodline. Every single one of them. Here's Fatu. Every time you see Fatu, he looks like he's about to eat a burger. Look at him. He's about to eat a burger. Every time you see Fatu, he's about
Apparently he's a
but he's
chain smoker, so he must be
dude, no.
just
Brent, he's
gasping.
not ready. He's not. Remember when you explained to me how AJ Styles used to come in and he used to
Yeah.
just tear down the strip, and then somebody sat him down, Kurt Hennig or somebody, and said, "Hey, look, man, here's what you got to do." See, these guys don't know even camera stuff. They don't know yet. Why are they brought into the top fold? Well, it's either who you blow or who you know, isn't it, these days? And I think we all know who they know. And I think that's great. Bring them in. But don't put them to the top of the rock star pile, man. That's
The only thing
ridiculous.
is
And it
about that is
shows.
that
To me, it shows.
the only thing about that though is I think that we talked about it a little while ago. Post WrestleMania is always extremely tough, and that's where I think that they give these guys and these people a shot to see what they got. So we're going to find out
Yeah,
now
but at the top,
because
no, but see, I get that. But at the top, that's ridiculous. That's
but
not.
who else are they going to
If you're
put there?
giving no, but if you're giving somebody, oh, anybody, the priest fight could have been the number one,
Okay,
in my
sorry.
opinion.
Let me back that up.
Yeah.
Not, I don't mean top. What I'm saying is like if you're going to continue the bloodline story,
Right.
Jay and Jimmy are out and Roman's out. How do you do it?
Well, I wouldn't have brought those guys in to begin with. You can't bring those guys in and have a high elevated fight. What I would have did with this coming up here is I would have had it been a restricted match where it was just Solo and it was just Cody Rhodes, and have Solo have a good match. Because if you go on the internet, everybody is saying, "Where is Solo's match?"
Hmm.
Like if you knew it, you name a wrestler to
Hmm.
me, a good wrestler, I can name a good match. Solo, nothing. I can't think of. And then, so here was his opportunity. You basically put him in a cage. Oh, dude, there you go. Cage match. Nobody gets in. Cage match. And have Solo prove his worth. Have a good match. Have him sit down with Cody for a week and plan out a good match. That's what I would have did. And I wouldn't even have had those other guys involved unless maybe they had some small altercation on the outside. But they didn't touch Solo. They didn't touch Cody Rhodes. And you let them battle it out. That's totally what I would have did. And I'd love to hear what other people think about that. Because I know that the general response in public is like the last thing they're saying now is that, well, they're making Solo look bad, so it's just ridiculous that he would take it over. He's kind of like a joke character, and I'm not buying that at all. I think they're trying to make him look like he's a godfather and he's the shit. Whereas other I'm noticing a lot of other fans saying, no, they're doing it on purpose to make him look like he's just a dummy, like he's not supposed to be there. I'm not getting that. I'm getting that. I'm getting that Solo is not just he's just not the greatest wrestler, and I think the WWE and himself just missed out on a great opportunity to actually make Solo look good. You know what I mean? Like it could have been and blood. Bring your blood back for this match too, right? Anyway, missed opportunity in my opinion. I give this match a C minus because it was total fan service, but not the kind of fan service as a dude myself
Hmm.
wanted. I could see it being good for the crowd. I get it. I totally get it. The kids loved it. You brought Roman Reigns back. Just
I have to
the
go
side players.
three and a half slashes out of five, only because again, moving storylines ahead. Now what happens with Roman?
Right.
It's not now what happens with Roman and these guys is Roman getting involved with Solo going to bring him
Yeah.
up, and we're actually going to see that match. There's a lot of questions ahead about that. One thing that was abundantly clear, and I said this before when I was at Monday Night Raw in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
and Cody was in the ring, and The
Mm-hmm.
Rock came out, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, there is a drastic difference
Mm-hmm.
between a superstar
Was
like
that
The
when he very
Rock
first
and
came out?
Rome. No, this was when he beat him up in the back parking lot and made him bleed.
Okay.
But this was like
It's funny though.
the real final boss, like Mama
Yeah.
Rhodes, and he beat him with the belt. But when his music hit and he walked out and came into the ring,
Mm-hmm.
internally, I was in that arena and I was
Yeah.
like,
You know what the
Cody
funny?
does not feel like a superstar
No,
in
no,
this
no. I
moment.
get that, but well, they could make him one though, because here's another thing that I'm seeing. See, the crowd inside that arena, the marks, the people that have the money to go and buy the tickets, they're loving it for the
Mm-hmm.
most part. The people online
I hate
don't
it.
like The Rock. They're making, well, so I said to him, I said, we should do this in the match and we should do this. Like, it's like my joke again. Like Ryan Reynolds just say, so The Rock said, or The Rock will say, so I sat down Ryan Reynolds and I said, you know what you should do is a Deadpool Wolverine movie. I know that the general public is getting sick of The Rock in general. His latest movie is bomb.
Yeah.
I just think that myself and whenever he interjects himself back in there, it's kind of like, really? Why don't you give somebody else the spot, dude? It doesn't make any sense to me. Why not put all this bump and effort into somebody else? So The Rock can just walk in and walk out when he wants. That's just my opinion, though. But there are a lot of people online that do not like The Rock. For my feed, I'm seeing a lot more that don't like him, but the people in house they loving it. They buy in and they feel it. It's like you said, they feel it. But I think they can generate that with Cody Rhodes if they try. Again, they need to bring the blood back possibly, and maybe bring back one of his relatives. If they could get Dustin Rhodes in there, that
Arn
would probably
Anderson.
be. Or,
Arn's
yeah, well,
coming.
that's a start, right? That was a good start. If he did his own Four Horsemen, even that would be something that would blow my mind. That'd be pretty cool. There's lots of angles they could go. See, but again, my ADHD, I've got a million storylines going on. That's why I do what I do. Now, speaking of what I do, and what you help me do, and what you are a producer of, let's pimp some goods here before we end. We're hitting an hour, man. Oh, you're trying not to do that, but we did it.
Wrestling.
So let's pimp some stuff. What do we got? Okay, so we got the second printing of Cult of Machete. Here's the first printing right here, but it's sold out. I have a couple signed issues that we will be working with. Yeah, so we got the second print. You can buy that. It's featuring a story by John Giarni. It's called Stay Hungry, and if you order this, the pre-order, you get a card, a limited edition card, autographed by him. Yeah,
And what a guy John is. Hi, John.
Hi, John. Hope you're doing well, buddy. And I don't know,
Yeah.
your name's in there.
Look
There
at
it
that.
is, right?
Just look, the design is just totally deadly, though. Look at that.
Great book, my friends. Side story on this is there's so before the whole Donald Trump incident of his assassination attempt, we did a story right before it, and boy, are we getting some online stuff about that, and getting coincidentally, some of my personal online presence on my Twitter, my personal Facebook have been hacked since we released this story, and the opinion's been voiced. So I just want to clear the air right now. Yes, there is an assassination story in our book here. It's the very first story. It's called Remover Machine. We believe all the information that has been given to us is false, and we start off with the Remover Machine, which is an assassination attempt. This came out about a month before the assassination attempt on Trump, and of course, whenever you do something like that, Brent, you're going to get a lot of weird people hitting you up and either saying that was great, or the scary one is the other people who don't like it, because then some of them fly off on the other handle there, right? But you can get a copy of the second print. It's available. It's for pre-order now. It's got the alternate cover, black and white, and it's basically a shot at religion, history, and politics.
Our favorites.
With the side of dark humor in there, all right? Yeah. So my cat is screaming at the door. He wants to get in. Brent, thanks for seeing us again, man. My co-pilot, I'm loving it. We'll be back again next week. I'm not sure what we're going to do next week. We may talk about The Boys.
Speaking
if
of
you guys want to see The Boys.
Speaking of assassination attempts.
Right. So let us know down below if there's anything you want us to talk about. We're cool with it. We usually try and keep it to half an hour. It's a little longer because we're doing that whole wrestling event. But it was a good one. Okay, so everybody party on, be excellent yourselves, and good times.
Rad dudes, man.
Peace and love, my
When Machete Comics announced that they were releasing the book, The Cult of Machete, that week. Our president's Twitter account was hacked and taken over by a robot. The month that the Cult of Machete issue #1 officially sold out, our president's Facebook account was hacked and is no longer available to the public. No. With that being said, the Cult of Machete issue #2 will be available for pre-sale in August. Stay hungry.